Hey everybody, just wanted to give you a real quick kind of mini lecture about option 3 on the final paper project. This is something I had the opportunity to go over in some detail with my face-to-face classes, and I feel that this is one of those areas where, because you're online, you're just getting the words on the page, and there's some context for that third option that I think is probably going to be helpful. So this is not a very long video, but I do want to just kind of go over that option, so you guys have all the information that you really need as you decide which of those options you're going to select for your final project. So if you've got that in front of you, here, let me quickly share my screen so we're all looking at the same thing. Wow, okay, there it is. Okay. So option 3 reads, using writing assignment 6, which is the piece you guys just handed in. And I know I haven't graded that yet, and I can say a few words about that at the end as well. You want to, as a model, you want to write a 3 to 5 page paper that offers a variation of the following formula. And this is the part that I was able to discuss in class that you guys don't get as online, because it's just, like I said earlier, it's just words on a page. So this is why I'm doing this quick video. But the formula is: Unforgiven seems to be a Western, but is actually an epic. Okay. In other words, what I want you to do is whatever the thing you choose that you're going to classify or define, because that's what writing assignment 6 was all about. It's about writing a classification paper, which is a pretty common kind of writing situation you'll find in academic writing. But the formula I want to use is whatever that thing is seems like X or is X, but also has elements of Y. Okay, I don't want you to just write a straight up classification paper. I want you to kind of do something a little bit more unusual, which usually translates into interesting or fun kind of approach to it. So using Unforgiven as kind of a model, I'm going to explain what that means. So Unforgiven is X, right? And the X here would be a Western. Hopefully that's what you guys wrote for writing assignment 6. There are a few other answers, and if you wrote one of those, don't panic, because that assignment is literally graded as, do you clearly say what genre you think it is, and then do you have textual reasons for coming to that? So it's not like read my mind, oh, you didn't get Western, well, then you're wrong. Again, it's a writing exercise, so the grade is determined by how well your genre classification is supported by the things you talk about. But let's go, for the sake of this example, let's go with the idea that Unforgiven is a Western, and so that would be how you would start. Okay, and then you would say, prove in the paper all the reasons why it conforms to that genre, and this is pretty simple stuff. It's a for example, it's set in a fictional town in Wyoming. Spoiler alert, the reason they're called Westerns is because they're set in the West. So there you go, there's one. And Unforgiven kind of adopts all of the standard tropes of the Western. You have cowboys, you have horses, you have trains, you have gunfights, you have spurs, you have all the normal cowboy Western dress, you have saloons, you have one-road towns. You've got all of these kind of tropes from the Western are all in Unforgiven. So that part's easy, right? But I also asked you to read real quickly before you watch this video, that little piece about the epic. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again and find where that is. Although I don't think I have it out. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Here we go. Okay, so this is the but seems like Y, or is also Y kind of thing. So if you quickly run through these elements of the epic that I had you read, for example, the plot centers around a hero of unbelievable stature. Okay, that seems to fit with Unforgiven, with all the kind of legendary exploits everyone's talking about Will Money did in his heyday. How he would be surrounded by marshals and shoot them all without getting a scratch. And then, there's the gunfight at the end, which kind of echoes that. He takes down 5 gunmen, doesn't get shot. So we have that idea here. Involves deeds of superhuman strength and valor. Again, we just covered that. That seems that we can check that box. Vast setting. Yeah, I mean, obviously any Western is going to have a vast setting, so certainly Unforgiven does as well. So we can check that box. Involves supernatural or otherworldly forces. Now this one you would say, well, here we go. You can't check this box. And I would say, well, I mean, I think our film does have a supernatural force that is influencing the behavior of the characters, or some of the characters. And of course, that's Will Money's wife, who is, the film repeats several times, she's watching over things. So we could check that box, I think, if we look at it a little closer and kind of be more analytical on how that idea of her watching over things kind of plays out in the film. A poet remains objective and omniscient. Well, omniscient means all-knowing, like you have access to all the characters' thoughts. We don't really have that in the film, but we do have an objective poet or speaking voice here. And they're using poet because the epics were originally verse that were chanted by a poet. You go think of the classic epics like the Odyssey, which I still think they teach in school. So you guys might already be familiar with that one. The Iliad, Dante's Inferno, those kind of things. If you read the Odyssey in high school and didn't particularly enjoy the experience, I'll just point out that in my high school, I read the Aeneid, which is another one of these 3 classic epics. And I read it in its original Latin with like a nun with a ruler behind me who would slap me on the hands if I ever cursed. And I do that a lot. So my point being, if you didn't like the Odyssey, it could have been a lot worse. But we do have that objective kind of speaking voice in the film with the opening and closing frames, right? Okay, that's the person who's kind of telling us this story. Scrolling down the list at the very bottom, you also have the idea that all epics have this descent into the underworld, where the hero goes to wherever the dead people go in that culture and interacts with them and somehow gets knowledge or inspiration to complete his task. And I think that's a box we can check as well, right? Because the whole when Will Money is dealing with the fever at the height of his fever, it's very much a descent into the underworld kind of thing. He's conversing with dead people, he's seeing dead people, and he's relating this experience after it's over. He's explaining this to Ned. And then after that fever breaks, he seems kind of prepared to finish off his tasks. So the point is, again, this is not a class in the epic, it's not a class in film studies, it's not a class in the Western, but the point I'm trying to get at is if you start to look at these conventions, whether it's the Western or the epic, you could easily come up with a statement. Unforgiven seems like a Western, but it also has a lot of the elements of the classic Western epic. And that's a model for a thesis that I want you to use when you approach your paper if you choose option 3. Okay, so pick something you're interested in, something that you can easily categorize as one thing, but also play around with, does it also fit a different set of kind of criteria? And I think you'll find that paper option becomes a little bit more interesting. Hopefully that explains option 3 a little bit more. If not, just shoot me an email or stop by the office sometime if that's something you can do, or if you need me to stay later so you can get there on a particular day. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to do that. You just got to let me know. And the one last thing I want to say is how you should, kind of the criteria you should use to make your choice about which option you want to take. I want to caution you not to just reflexively go to, well, this is the writing assignment I got the best grade on, because there's a problem with that kind of thinking. And the problem is that grade was a factor of a homework assignment with a different set of criteria. And the paper is going to have a completely different set of expectations and criteria because it's a bigger assignment. There's more expectation of work. You've got a month to do it instead of a week. So that always you should use the length of time you have to complete assignment as a way to calibrate what the expectations are. So a good grade on, say, writing assignment 4 does not necessarily translate into a good grade for the essay. Okay, they're going to be completely different kind of. That'd be like biting an apple and saying, well, this must be what an orange tastes like. They're different things. So what you should do is pick the option you're most interested in, that you think, because you're going to be married to this project for a month plus, right? So you want to pick something that you're interested in, that you have interest in beyond just getting a grade. And the value of that is it's easier to motivate yourself to work on the project if you have some kind of stake in it, right? If you're just doing it for the grade, it's harder to kind of motivate yourself to stay on task. But if you have an interest in learning something from this project, I think you'll find the results tend to be better. I mean, in my experience, 18 years of teaching comp, that's always been my experience. If a student selects something that they have a personal stake in learning about, they do better. So that would be my kind of advice for how to make the selections. Other than that, I think everything else is pretty clearly laid out on the assignment sheet. But again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.